I am continuing in my reading. What I'm doing in this series is to read through the entire standard works of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. This consists of the Bible, the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, and the Pearl of Great Price. I am continuing reading in a chronological order, according to event, not according to publication or volume. So I'm skipping around a bit as I move along. We are continuing reading in the Gospels. We are at the last day of Christ's mortal life. We've been reading about his trial before the priests, before Pilate, Garden of Gethsemane, all that good stuff. Our last readings have been in Matthew and Mark regarding the release of Barabbas, the insurrectionist, instead of Christ. Now we're going to read this again, this time both in Luke and then in John. In this video, we have a Joseph Smith translation. And what the Joseph Smith translation is, this is a translation or correction done by Joseph Smith to restore those passages that have been lost or corrupted over the years. Luke chapter 23, verses 13 to 24. And Pilate, when he had called together the chief priests and the rulers and the people, said unto them, Ye have brought this man unto me as one that perverteth the people. And behold, I, having examined him before you, have found no fault in this man, touching those things whereof ye accuse him. No, nor yet Herod. For I sent you to him, and lo, nothing worthy of death is done unto him. I will therefore chastise him and release him. For of necessity he must release one unto them at the feast. And they cried out all at once, saying, Away with this man, and release unto us Barabbas, who for a certain sedition made in the city and for murder was cast into prison. Pilate therefore, willing to release Jesus, spake again to them. But they cried, saying, Crucify him, crucify him. And he said unto them the third time, Why, what evil hath he done? I have found no cause of death in him. I will therefore chastise him and let him go. And they were insistent with loud voices, requiring that he might be crucified. And the voices of them and of the chief priests prevailed. And Pilate gave sentence that it should be as they required. And he released unto them him that for sedition and murder was cast into prison, whom they had desired, but he delivered Jesus to their will. Now, I like Pilate's reasoning with him. He's trying to reason with him here. So, look, I can't find anything worthy of death, so I'll chastise him for you, but let him go. He says, no, give us Barabbas. Well, that's okay, I'll give you Barabbas, but let me just chastise Jesus and let him go, because I know that it's just because you're envious of him that he's here. But they are vehement. No, deliver him to us so that we can, again, he delivers them into their hands. It is the Jews who are taking on the responsibility for the crucifixion of Christ. Pilate is washing his hands of it. And I do think that Pilate is not, or at least not as guilty as the Pharisees. I think he's just in a bad situation. But let us look at the Joseph Smith translation here. In verse 13, priests is made singular, just priest. In verse 14, ye is corrected to you, and that is corrected to who? In 18, at the beginning, instead of and they cried, it is but they cried. In verse 23, they were insistent in loud voices. And then in the end there, in the voices of them and the chief priest, take out the second of. And then verse 25, that is corrected to who, and at the end, it is instead of but he delivered, it is and he delivered. Minor grammatical corrections, nothing important. Now we turn to John chapter 18, verses 39 and 40. But ye have a custom that I should release unto you one at the Passover. Will ye therefore that I release unto you the King of the Jews? Then cried they again, saying, Not this man, but Barabbas. Now Barabbas was a robber. Very simple. The only somewhat different thing here is that they call Barabbas a robber, but we understand robbers were not just somebody who steal stuff. They were the highwaymen that would attack and kill. They would murder and steal, but they would attack the people as they traveled. So maybe it was a sedition because he attacked a Roman supply line or something like that. So the term robber doesn't necessarily mean he wasn't killing people. This is getting long enough, and we don't have a Joseph Smith translation for John. We're going to leave that here. And we are going to be reading again in John next as the trials continue. So I will see you there.